Alright, so I just threw the spotting scope on this elk. It looks like a cow elk, but camp is right over there. I'm literally 100 yards from camp, and then up where the road becomes the road intersection, there's a little mountain and there's a little clear cut up there. And then I just decided to come over here to Glass because heck, what is there to do? It's just me and my dad here, and we're just kind of settling down. I don't know, we'll see if she has a friend with her. That is stinking awesome. That's the perfect welcome to Oregon sign I could get there. First light, pulled up to this little glassing knob. It's more like just a parking spot, but literally first minute in, and we spotted 2 cows. They're a little bit of ways out there, but it's always a good sign to see elk at first light. So you can see we can glass pretty much 270 degrees, so hoping to pick out a big bull here momentarily. There's 2 elk over there. There's got to be more elk with them, but for now we only see 2, so I'm just gonna be patient and just pick apart every little piece of land that we can see. We've gone basically about an hour of not seeing anything. After we glassed up those 2 cow elk this morning, I turned around and I glassed down towards the bottom of this canyon, and I spotted another herd of cow elk. There was a total of 8, but again, they're just all cows, all ears, no bulls. So we kind of just watched them feed in that little clear cut, and then they eventually just side hilled off into some reef rod, and then they just eventually disappeared into some timber. So I think they were working their way to go to bed. I was hoping to see at least 1 bull, but yeah, we're just glassing around, just making sure that we're not missing any spots. I don't know, I think we might pack up and then head to a different drainage or a different canyon and try our luck there. But for now, it's just being patient and putting the glass to work. Alright, well, Chinu and I, we just came back to camp because something happened. So pretty much after this morning, we drove to a different outlook point, and we've been glassing around. We saw some elk, but again, they were just cows. And then we were just sitting there and we heard some gunshots, and Chinu's grandpa-in-law actually smoked the bull. So came back to camp to grab some stuff for the pack out. It's raining right now. So we came back here, we're gonna grab some stuff basically for the pack out, and then we're gonna drive up there and get this thing all cut up and brought back to camp. Alright, well, we made it up to the elk. That's a beautiful 5x5. It's raining like crazy right now, so I'm just gonna film a couple B-roll shots, throw you guys on the GoPro, and then we gotta get this elk corded up, packed back to the truck, and then back to camp. And then Chinu and I, we're gonna continue our grind to fill his tag in the next couple of days. Hopefully we can get it done. So it is the morning after Chinu's grandpa-in-law shot his 5x5 bull, and Chinu and I, we drove up to this vantage point again, and it's kind of foggy this morning, so it's been making glassing kind of hard, but we just picked out a small herd of elk. There's at least 1 bull in there. I don't think he's very big. I think it's a spike, but we're just happy to see some elk, so we'll take that as a plus. Hopefully there's a lot more than this herd, because it seems like with this weather the elk are moving a little bit more than when it wasn't raining, so we've actually spotted another herd way out on a completely different ridge. That one had 8 cows and also another spike, and then in between those two herds we also just spotted some black-tailed deer, just 4 does. But yeah, thankfully the fog is lifting and the wind has died off, so it makes for pretty ideal conditions right now. So we're just gonna keep on glassing and hopefully we can turn up a legal bull. Well, it's like 4 o'clock p.m. right now, almost 4. And ever since all those deer and elk this morning, we haven't seen anything since. And so we've been just kind of chilling, just waiting for the evening to show up to see if the deer and elk start moving. Or I should just say elk start moving, because that's what we're hunting. So far, no elk, but I made it down to this little point, and I have a very good view as to all the clear cuts around us. But the downfall with this little open point right here is the wind is ripping and the wind is stinking cold. I can't even feel my face right now, so I'm probably gonna head back up to the truck and go grab some warmer clothes and then come back down here and then continue glassing. Well, I don't know about you guys, but a bowl of fresh, hot pho after a chilly day of elk hunting always hits the spot. Well, it's 11 o'clock in the morning right now, and earlier we got fogged in at the top of the mountain, so we decided to drive down the mountain to where it isn't as foggy, because all the fog is lifting. And so if you're on any high mountain or higher elevation, it's just covered with fog. But if you drive down low, then you're under all the fog, which that's kind of where we are. I mean, it's still kind of foggy, but the visibility is a lot better. So since we know that it's midday and these elk are not going to be on the clear cuts feeding, I decided to just come and park up there, and then we're just going to drop down and just timber sneak. In other words, we're just going to be still hunting. So we'll see if we get lucky here and just walk right up to a bedded bull. Well, yesterday, all we saw was a herd of 6 cows. And so it was pretty rainy yesterday, so I didn't really record much, but I woke up this morning, hit one clear cut, saw nothing, drove over to this other clear cut, spotted a herd of elk. All the elk that we've identified are just cows, but we're gonna sneak our way up here and just hopefully let the herd feed their way up into this clear cut and let us get a better look at them. There's one on top a little bit. So we snuck into 167 yards of this herd when we first light stays consistent and they don't bust out of here, and we can take a good look at all these elk. Hopefully there's a legal bull here. Well, since this is my first time doing a rifle elk hunt here in Oregon during this time of the year, it's definitely a big learning curve. There are some things that are very crucial as to finding elk. We're still struggling to find bulls that are bigger than spikes, but again, that's just part of the learning curve. But the first thing I've noticed is this stuff right here, which I believe is called a reprod, which is just overgrown clear cuts. These elk love this stuff, and they also love the clear cuts, like the actual clear cuts where it's very open and an elk sticks out like a sore thumb. They love those clear cuts that are right next to this stuff right here, which again I believe is called a reprod. And so that's where we've seen the majority of our elk, but again, just no legal bulls. Second, the terrain here is much steeper than it looks. That mountain right there, to me, when I first looked at it, I was like, man, it just looks like a regular mountain. When I put the binoculars on it and I was picking it apart, that's not just a mountain. Those are just literally cliffs. So if there was an elk standing there and it's a legal elk where we can shoot, it's probably a good idea to examine the terrain or the habitat that elk is in. Just because if we shoot them, there is a good possibility that we can't even retrieve the elk, or the retrieval is extremely brutal. So that, and it's just very wet, just in general. It's basically a rainforest, and every single morning you should probably expect some kind of fog or mist. So those places where you have a very good glassing point in the afternoon, it might not be that useful in the morning. So yeah, those are just some nuggets of information that I've learned while spending the last couple of days here. So just wanted to come check that out. About 2 hours ago, we were way down at the bottom of this mountain, and we glassed up and we spotted 2 cow elk. And so we knew how to get closer. So we basically made a big loop, and right now, instead of looking up towards the elk, we're looking down towards the elk, and they're within shooting range, but it's super foggy up here, so we can't really see them up. Well, yesterday Chinu and I, we tried to wait out the fog, but the fog never lifted, so we just backed out. Made a plan to come in this morning, and we peeked over this hump, and sure enough, that herd of elk is in this flat where we thought they would be. Unfortunately, it's just another herd of cow elk. We're just gonna hit some other spots. Today's the last day of season, so we're just gonna hit up some spots we want to check before the day ends. And if we don't see anything, then that pretty much wraps up Oregon elk hunting for this year. And then it's just on to waterfowling and whatnot. So if we don't see anything, then that's gonna do it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9. It could be the same one we saw earlier or yesterday. Yeah. They're just making their way back. 8 cows, 1 spike. But they're still looking behind. Wait, there's 9. Yeah, there's like an old dude.